We have the February NPD results for game sales, console sales. So lots of things to discuss. We'll go through some of the information there. Always interesting stuff to come out of that. Assassin's Creed Shadows is out today. There's controversies already online. You go see people are pushing these narratives that they want others to believe. There's a lot of bad faith stuff happening as well on social media. But there is one particularly interesting thing here where the Prime Minister of Japan actually responded to a question about Assassin's Creed Shadows, so we will go over that. We have an infographic that has been updated for the Xbox first party lineup and what we can expect. It is stacked. I mean, Xbox is really producing the games these days. They are pushing out tons of content, and this infographic will show all of that. There's also a major union that here is being formed by North American workers in the gaming industry. So we will talk about all of that stuff. But before we do, if you enjoy daily gaming news and content, hit the subscribe, share the video, like the video, and we will jump right into it. So the February 2025 NPD results are out here from Matt Piscatella of Circana, always giving very good information if you're interested in just the business side of the gaming industry. What's top selling? How are the consoles doing? All of that stuff. And we have a lot of information here. Some of the things I do like to go over are the top selling games on each platform, as well as how well are the consoles selling. Really nothing too surprising here, specifically on the console side of things, and even on the game side of things. What are the top games on each platforms? And these numbers really push home the narratives that we have been seeing throughout the gaming industry this generation. We'll talk about that after going through these numbers. So February 2025's top best-selling premium games in dollar sales for physical and digital from the digital data sharing of publishers. Top selling game, not a surprise. It is a fun game. I've been playing it throughout this month. It is Monster Hunter Wilds. It is number one across all of the different platforms, best-selling games. Second one comes in here, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. And what is hilarious about this one is, again, like we're seeing with Assassin's Creed Shadows, there was a major boycott or whatever you want to call it, campaign against Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 before it did drop. But obviously, that is not affecting it, which really, I think, pushes home more in my mind, at least, the point that a lot of the stuff we see online about social media with the whole culture wars against all of these games don't actually have a major impact on how well a lot of these games do. But Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at number 2, Civilization 7 at number 3, PGA Tour 2K25 at number 4, and NBA 2K25 at number 5. Then you have Call of Duty bringing in here at number 6, which it was number 1 back in January. And that was one of the questions I had, was how well is it going to be doing continuously going into February? Is it still going to be number 1? Obviously, that's not the case. It has dropped down here to number 6. And then Avowed comes in, slots in right after that at number 7, which I think is actually a pretty good launch here for Avowed, being number 7 top selling game in February. Game that came out later on in the month, and a lot of people were expecting it to flop or just not do very well. And it seems like it is doing relatively decent here. Now, if we continue down here, here are the top 5 games here, the top 10, but I'll go over the top 5 for PlayStation in terms of sale. Monster Hunter Wilds number 1, Kingdom Come Deliverance number 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 is now at number 3. Previous month it was at number 1. NBA 2K25 at 4, and PGA Tour 2K25 at 5. So those sports games always sell very high when they are released. NBA 2K25 still being near the top. It's pretty wild because doesn't that game come out in like October or something? So people are still going out there and spending a lot of it. I'm guessing there is a big sale on the game. When it comes to Xbox, basically the exact same top 5 here. Monster Hunter Wilds at 1, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at 2. Then you have PGA Tour 2K25 at 3, NBA 2K25 at 4, and Civilization 7 at 5. Call of Duty's actually dropped down to number 6. Previously was at number 2. And then on Avowed, it landed in at number 8 on the top selling games on Xbox. So in the top 10, doing still relatively well, I would say, for the release. I think the numbers for Avowed, if we ever get official numbers for it, Obsidian and Xbox will be pretty happy with how it did. That's just kind of what I'm seeing here from these numbers, as well as just the fact that Game Pass subscribers probably went up. All of that type of stuff helped push this game to do good. And then Nintendo, you have Mario Kart 8, which is still number 1. Absolutely insane. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I mean, to me, it's the best kart racing game ever made, the best Mario Kart ever made. I don't know how they're going to top it with Mario Kart 9 on the Nintendo Switch 2 when it drops, because I see really no flaws in Mario Kart 8. If you have any flaws, let me know in the comments below. Super Mario Party Jamboree, Donkey Kong Country returns at 3. Then you have Civilization 7 and 4, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Early Days Collection at number 5. And I'm sure you guys can see by now as I go through these lists via each platform, the major difference here between Xbox and PlayStation and Nintendo, where Xbox and PlayStation are the same. Third-party titles basically in the top 5. And then you have Call of Duty as well in there for Xbox, which is first party, but it's actually dropped down to number 6 now. But generally, it is third-party titles that are the top-selling games on Xbox and PlayStation every single month. And it's a major reason why Xbox and PlayStation are looking at putting their games into more places, because their games cost tons to make and they're not top sellers on the platforms. It's not the main reason why people purchase Xbox or PlayStation. It just isn't. I go over this on my channel all the time, and people in comments always tell me how I'm wrong and I'm dumb and all of this type of stuff. But the numbers always support that as the facts, that the majority of games that people are playing on Xbox and PlayStation are third-party, free-to-play stuff. And that isn't changing, and it is never going to change. People are primarily buying these boxes to play that type of content. Nintendo, on the other hand, you look at their top 5 games. I mean, 3 out of their 5 games are Nintendo games, published by Nintendo, first-party titles that have already been out for a while as well. And they're still in the top sellers for their games. And those games cost significantly less to make comparatively to what Xbox and PlayStation have to produce for their first party box. So this is why the industry is significantly changing going forward. And this is why Xbox has been the first to the punch to it. And I think they're going to be more successful than PlayStation because of that. And this is why going forward to the next gen, we're going to see that the PlayStation and Xbox continue to change the way that they are publishing their games. So when it comes to the games, you just see it in the numbers, the stark difference between PlayStation, Xbox versus Nintendo. Now, when it comes to the top played games in gaming, the top played games here on PlayStation, again, supports my argument. Fortnite, number 1, Call of Duty HQ, which is the whole Call of Duty suite, at number 2, Grand Theft Auto 5, Roblox, and then Marvel Rivals in the top 5. Not a single PlayStation game in sight here. And then when it comes to Xbox, the PlayStation games, or Xbox games, there are actually 3 on this list. So again, in terms of what Xbox is doing with their first party titles, they're actually relatively successful on their own platform. You have Call of Duty HQ at number 1, Fortnite at number 2, Roblox at number 3, Minecraft, which is Xbox Game Studios. So that's the second Xbox game at number 4. And then if you go down to number 6, Avowed is in there as well. So that's 3 Xbox Game Studios, Activision, Blizzard, whatever games from their first party as the top ranked games on Xbox for the month. So there is an interesting thing there when it comes to the difference between the charts between Xbox and PlayStation. The other thing here that I do want to go over is the sales of hardware, because the Xbox hardware continues to fall. In fact, it is actually falling behind the Xbox One here by a good amount, which at the beginning of this generation, with just how much better the Series X and S is, I wouldn't have predicted this, because as a box, as a console, for user experience and everything, the Series X and S far and away is much better than the Xbox One. And I think comparatively even to the PlayStation 5, just as a console, it is a better console with things like quick resume and everything you get with the Xbox Series X and S. But we know that they are moving away from pushing hardware as their main thing here at Xbox, with putting their games everywhere, and it is clearly playing out in the numbers itself. The Xbox Series X and S now trails almost 20% behind the Xbox One in the United States. And to me, that looks like it is a relatively concerning number, but it is not going to change the future of the Xbox hardware. We are still getting hardware in the next generation. Matt Piscatella puts out here and says, after each platform's first 52 months in the market, PlayStation 5 unit sales exceed the PlayStation 4 sales pace by 7%. And again, the PS4 or the PS5 is still selling very well for third-party games, for Call of Duty, for Fortnite. That's why people are buying PS5s. And then the Xbox Series now trails the Xbox One by 19%. Every time I click that, it opens up the Blue Sky app. So 19% they are behind the Xbox One. So we're going to see those sales numbers. I think the Xbox One rolled in at around 50 some million units. We may see the Series X and S when we get their official numbers, if we ever get their official numbers, because they don't really put out their hardware sales numbers. It may be more around the 40 million range or so that it comes in at for the overall sales of the Xbox Series X and S. Again, not surprising for a couple of reasons. Now, when you sit back and think about it in hindsight, at launch, I would have been very surprised if you would have told me this 4.5 years later, these would be the numbers. But now you sit back, you look at the direction that Xbox is going. You also look at this generation and how there have been no major sales, no major price cuts, nothing out there to try to push these as much as possible, which we did get with the Xbox One. I honestly think that is probably the bigger factor in terms of the console sales right now, if they are lagging behind it all. There's just no major incentive aside from wanting to get into Xbox Game Pass to go out and buy an Xbox Series X and S. And you can pick up Game Pass anywhere on your phone, on your PC, and all of that type of stuff. So that's probably the reason why they're lagging behind. But we'll see if there is some more incentives that they do put out. If there are more sales, bundles, price decreases that people end up wanting to jump in on to the platform. So we'll see. But again, this isn't going to affect consoles in the next generation. And there will be consoles in the next gen in one way or another. I mean, we're already getting the handhelds that are going to have the Xbox branding on it from a third-party manufacturer. And then we're also hearing about the at-home console that has already been greenlit. From the reports that have been coming out, Satya Nadella was fully on board and greenlit the production of that thing, which is apparently going to be the biggest technical leap, whatever that means. I think there will be actually multiple different options for Xbox users in terms of wanting to get an at-home console in the next generation. So some interesting numbers there for February, and we'll see how this plays out through the entire year as more games are continuously dropping. Bigger games are going to be coming out. A game like Doom, The Dark Ages will be a huge release from Xbox first party. Maybe that will push people to go out there and pick up a console just to play that via Xbox Game Pass. In terms of their first party lineup and the roadmap, it is massive. It is so big, it's almost overwhelming in trying to play all of these games. Like for myself specifically, right now I'm playing through Assassin's Creed Shadows. I'm also still going through Monster Hunter Wilds, and that's just kind of an ongoing thing because that game is huge and you can play it forever. And I mean, even still going through Avowed, I'm like 20 hours into Avowed. So I have so many games on the go right now, and there are more coming in the next month or so that I want to jump in and play. So being able to finish all of this stuff with all of the other life things that happen, it almost seems impossible, and it isn't going to get any easier here with the current roadmap for 2025 and Xbox. Here it is. It's a nice laid out piece here, but let's just focus on 2025 because we know Fable has been pushed out until 2026. We still have this here. I think all of these, aside from the Outer Worlds 2, I believe, have confirmed dates. Avowed's out, of course. South of Midnight coming in April. Towerborn also coming in April. Doom The Dark Ages coming in May. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 coming in July, which this was just added in recently to these games. Then you have The Outer Worlds 2, and you finish it off with Ninja Gaiden 4. That is what we currently know right now. And we've been hinted at here that the June showcase is going to be bringing us more titles. For example, could Gears of War E-Day slot in for 2025? There isn't a game on that list that I don't want to play. That is the craziest thing about them all. And it's not just because they are first party Xbox games. It's simply because I have interest in some form in all of them. They all have gameplay that I enjoy. Their style of games that I enjoy, like South of Midnight. I love that third person deep storytelling style. Towerborn, side scrolling action RPGs. I was a big fan of games like Dragon's Crown and Odin Sphere And Towerborn kind of reminds me of that style of game, so I want to play that one. Doom the Dark Ages, I mean, I like Doom. I've played the Doom games, so obviously want to play Doom the Dark Ages. Huge, massive fan of the Tony Hawk series, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4. I have the collector's edition on order where you have an actual skateboard deck that comes with it. I got the first collector's edition, so that just adds. I'm gonna have to display those at some point. I love the first Outer Worlds, so Outer Worlds 2, I want to play, obviously. And then Ninja Gaiden 4. I played all the old Ninja Gaiden games. I love them. And then we have Ninja Gaiden 4 coming out, a brand new one entry into the series. So there really isn't a game on that list that I am not interested in. So this is just daunting for me. I don't know how I'm going to play all these. I won't be able to play all of these in 2025. There will be a lot of these that get pushed, and I'll play them as they go. Because the other thing, when there's so many games coming out, which I think Xbox has to keep in mind with the amount of content they are releasing right now, is that if you're somebody who does want to experience all of this stuff, you're probably not getting to it right away. And then you may just skip things, or you may rush through things and not get the full value out of it, simply because you get that FOMO feeling of wanting to jump into the next hottest game that everyone else is playing. So crazy roadmap there, but very exciting either way, because they stay on Game Pass. They're day one of Game Pass, and you can go and check them out whenever you want. You do not have to play them right away. And that is the great thing about that service. All right, let's jump over here. Let's quickly talk about this, because there is a big industry-wide union that is happening here. This is from workers in the United States and Canada. They have formed an industry-wide gaming union with the Communication Workers of America. They say here that the creation of this union was not done in isolation. It's a cumulative effort by the thousands of video game workers who have been fighting for years to redefine what it means to stand together and reclaim power in one of the largest and highest grossing industries on the globe. And these workers are taking bold stands, joining together to build power for the workers behind the games we all know and love. We're done playing. That is their slogan. And one of the things, I mean, they're probably forming this because is all the layoffs that have been happening. But one of the major things will be generative AI. That is going to be something that really pushes these workers to want to get in on this type of stuff. They say the formation of the United Video Game Workers CWA is an exciting next step in our union's work to help video game workers build power in their industry. And as the video game studios have consolidated, the workers whose creativity, dedication, and skill bring the games to life have become more of an afterthought. They are subject to endless cycles of layoffs and rehiring as corporate executives pursue short-term profits at the expense of a sustainable future. So I don't want to really get into pro-union, against union, all of that type of stuff. I mean, I don't really have a major opinion on this at this point, but I will say, if you have been following the gaming industry, the layoffs have been insane. I mean, it's been nonstop, and there is definitely more threat here from things like generative AI coming in and potentially taking away jobs. And I've talked about AI on my channel. I'm not against it. I actually think AI can help video games and help them make it more immersive to gamers, but there will absolutely be casualties in the gaming industry. People will lose their jobs. People will be getting hurt by it. It's just the way that technology, generally new technology, when it comes in, it's just generally what happens in industries that are adjusting and moving forward. So that is why these unions are being formed, to try to protect any more negativity to these workers that have been going through a lot of bad stuff over the last number of years with the closures of studios, again, the layoffs, and games being canceled. And finally, we will go over this one because, again, Assassin's Creed Shadows has just released. I've played it for a few hours now over the last 2 days. I got an early code for about 2 days here from Ubisoft, so I appreciate that, to check it out and see what it was all about. Obviously not a review code to have any time to review because the embargo was on the 18th. But from what I've played so far, it does look and feel like an actual next generation Assassin's Creed game. There are a lot of things here that they have improved upon. It's beautiful looking on the console, and I'm excited to jump in further into this game. I'm also a big Assassin's Creed fan. I've played all of the older ones, so maybe I have a bit of bias towards it, but I'm being honest on that. I love the older games, and I'm really enjoying this one. But we have seen some absurd campaigns trying to destroy this game. And it is getting out of hand, especially on social media. You're seeing right away. It's like a coordinated effort amongst the people that want this game to fail. Instantly, the social media posts all go out. They're all basically saying the same thing. They're all just hating and extracting hate on this game over all of the same stuff. It is just kind of discouraging if you just like playing video games and you want to know the truth about this game. The other thing that is happening is Japan is actually weighing in here on Assassin's Creed Shadow because of the controversy of destroying the shrines, which is very important culturally to Japan. A lot of things are going around, but IGN, whether you're a fan of them or not, I think they did a great job on this article. They give a great explanation and context as to really what is happening here. Is Japan really mad at Ubisoft? Are they really mad at Assassin's Creed Shadows? Or is this just the general political posturing that goes on when it comes to the cultural side of countries, as well as when it just comes to governments and video games? I do believe it is far more along those lines, more so than them being really, really mad here at Ubisoft. But there was a question that the Prime Minister of Japan responded to about Assassin's Creed Shadows. So a lot of stuff here. I mean, they've already apologized multiple times about things that they got wrong. People are, for some reason, saying that Assassin's Creed has been historically accurate, the historically accurate game, which that's simply not true. It has never been, the stories have never been historically accurate. They're all made up. But people are saying that it is, and for some reason, this game is getting more scrutiny to be as accurate as possible, as factual as possible in terms of the representation of history. The game just really has not been like that ever. So the question here that was asked by a Japanese politician and a member of the House of Councillors of Japan, Hiroyuki Kada, who will be campaigning for re-election this summer. This is what he said here. And then the Prime Minister responded. He says, "I fear that allowing players to attack and destroy real-world locations in the game without permission could encourage similar behavior in real life. Shrine officials and local residents are also worried about this. Of course, freedom of expression must be respected, but acts that demean local cultures should be avoided." And Prime Minister Ishiba responds saying, "How to address this legally is something we need to discuss with the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, the Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science, Technology, and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs." So I don't know if any of you ever heard a politician's response before, but that is just a non-answer. It means that they're not going to do anything, in my opinion, at least. It continues here and says, "Defacing a shrine is out of the question. It is an insult to the nation itself. When the self-defense forces were deployed at Samawa, Iraq, we ensured they studied Islamic customs beforehand. Respecting the culture and religion of a country is fundamental, and we must make it clear that we will not simply accept acts that disregard them." Now, those are the accurate translations, and this comes via IGN Japan, who took what was said in Japanese and translated it accurately into English. And then they also went ahead and explained, again, this at IGN Japan, what the situation was and what this all means and the context surrounding these answers. They say, "What needs to be understood here is that Japan has seen record numbers of overseas visitors in the wake of the country reopening its borders after the pandemic and the lure of the weak yen. In this government budget meeting, the politician Hiroyuki Kada twinned his complaints against Shadows with the controversial subject of what he called over tourism and an attendant perceived rise in vandalism and graffiti in Japan." So he was coming out here using Assassin's Creed Shadows as an example as how people could go into the game, do these things in Japan, which would then entice them to actually go over to Japan and then do it there. It wasn't simply, this game is out. What do you think about this game? Should we do anything, like ban it, I guess you could say, because of some of the things that are depicted within the game itself. They continue here to say, his argument is that if players are able to deface a temple or harm individuals with a katana in the game, they may be inspired to do it in real life when they visit Japan. Similar to the age-old argument that Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto inspires copycat violence. So that's basically it. It wasn't directly about the game and it being played in Japan. It was about tourism. And that is a major piece of the context, because if you take that part out when you're discussing this, it will make people start coming up with these outrage things about, oh, they are going against Ubisoft. They hate the game. They're going to try to ban the game, all of this stuff. I personally don't think anything is going to happen. However, Ubisoft is taking preliminary steps here because there is a day one patch that has come out, and they are making tables and shelving located in-game shrines indestructible and will reduce non-essential depictions of bloodshed taking place in shrines and temples. The thing is that we don't know yet is this only for Japan because of their rating boards, or if this will be worldwide with this update. We will see. But the reality is, this game has caused insane controversy. I think it is ridiculous. I think it's absurd. Some of the stuff that has been surrounding this game, it is optional to play it. You don't have to play it if you don't want. If you're an Assassin's Creed fan, I'm sure you will enjoy it, and you'll probably go out and play it. And a lot of the stuff happening around it is seemingly taking away the excitement for it for people that were looking forward to this game, which I think is unfortunate. But all in the video there, guys. If you did enjoy this video, hit that thumbs up. If you are new here, hit that subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next video.
We'll be right back.